What's up guys, Justin here with the CGEssentials.com, back with another Blender new version video for you. So in today's video we're going to talk about one of the new tools that's going to be contained in the 2.9 version of Blender. So you can currently download the alpha of that, and I wanted to check out the tool because it's very similar to another tool that I love using, which is the push-pull tool in SketchUp. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. Alright, so first things first, you can only use this tool by downloading the alpha version of 2.9 for Blender. So an alpha version is a version that's kind of out there for testing, but it's not considered stable or anything like that. It's more something where people can test it out, try some of the tools, and then also report bugs so the developers can kind of work on making those better. So you can download this, and I will show you how. Just be aware that this is not complete, and I do not recommend using version 2.9 for any kind of production work. And so you can find this by going to blender.org. Then if you go under the download section and you scroll down to the experimental section, you can click on download Blender experimental. Inside of the download Blender experimental, you can find the 2.9 alpha version. Note right here, these have the latest features and cool bug fixes. They can be unstable and mess up your files. Use at your own risk. So if you want something that's considered stable, don't download and use this. But for testing this tool, you ought to be fine. And so if you download this, then this is going to download a folder, and within that folder, so right here, there's going to be a Blender file that you can run in order to open up the 2.9 version. And so when you do this, when you open up the 2.9 version, you're going to get a sheet that's a lot like the one that you get right now in the older versions, but you can see how it looks a little bit different. Well, we're just going to open up a general file for right now and just test out this tool. So basically what this tool is it's a new Extrude tool that acts a lot like the push-pull tool does in SketchUp. And so what I'm going to do real quick, I'll probably speed this up, is just add a couple different cubes and subdivide them. Alright, and so with the tools that are currently built in the currently released version of Blender, you definitely have the ability to take a face like this one and extrude it back. And you can extrude this back, and you can set this to dissolve the orthogonal edges. So when you push-pull this back, what this does is this dissolves the edges, so you don't have the extra vertices and the faces hanging out anymore when you push-pull something back. However, the problem with this tool is you can dissolve some of those edges, but your results start getting really kind of weird, especially when you extrude back through something like this. You get kind of these leftover faces and other stuff like that. So this is still kind of like splitting this a little bit, but you can see how you're getting kind of odd results, right? And so there's now a new tool in version 2.9, and again, this isn't released yet, but if you click and hold this, and then you scroll down to your extrude, dissolve, and intersect, what that's going to do is that's going to get rid of all those extra faces. So now, if I was to tab out of that box, tab into this one, and we're going to use that tool again. We're just going to select this face, and we're going to extrude it back in the same way, but notice how now it deletes out those extra faces. And so what that means is you can now have a nice clean extrusion that you can use in order to really kind of make better adjustments in here without having all of those extra faces. Notice how this splits the faces when you move this across, so you can use it to create different kinds of geometry, things like that. So one of the things that can get a little bit weird about this is you can extrude this back in order to dissolve those edges, but notice how if you go past an edge like this one, those edges aren't really getting dissolved in here. Well, the reason for that is because you've extruded the face past another edge, and so Blender didn't really know what to do with it, and so it just kind of left it there. However, if you were to turn on snapping, so if I was to click right here, go up to vertex, to turn on vertex snapping, and then click on this in order to turn it on. So I set the mode to vertex, and then I set this to snapping being on. Now I can click and drag this face, and I can align it right here. You can see how it erases out the extra, and then I can move it back again and align it right here, and you can see how now it erases out those edges. So using this tool, you can really use this in order to do some interesting things, and you can use the snapping in order to really kind of expand that functionality. So you can use this to snap faces to align with something else. That's not a new thing, but it makes this tool work a little bit better. And so one question I think a lot of people have, because the SketchUp tool, what it does is if you extrude it to the back side of something, so if you extrude a hole through something, so if I was to extrude this face and align it with this back face, what it would do is it would delete out this face, right? So in SketchUp, if you push-pull something and it intersects with a face, it deletes out that face in order to create a hole. That doesn't really work here. So let's say I was to make another cube. So let's say we had like a wall in here, right? And let's say that we were to divide this wall. Because we wanted to create a door opening in here. Well, what you can do is you can use this tool with your vertex snapping on, and you can drag this until it's level with this back face, but notice that it doesn't delete out that face. However, you can really quickly just tap the X key and delete out the face, just like this. You can use this to cut holes in flat faces really quickly with just that extra keystroke. So you can turn your snapping on. See how turning your snapping on makes push-pulling to the back side of this really easy? Then you can just select these, tap the X key, and delete out the faces. So while I don't necessarily think this is going to revolutionize modeling in Blender, I think it gives a lot of beginners a much better option for creating simple things like openings and other things like that. So I'm really excited to see this get added to Blender's toolset. So that's where I'm going to end this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this tool and also about these new feature update videos. I just love having that conversation with you guys. If you like this video, please remember to click that like button down below. If you're new around here, remember to click that subscribe button for new Blender content every week. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys.